Bem, peço então um minuto a vossa atenção. Muito obrigado por terem vindo. Sem mais demoras, vamos receber o nosso convidado de hoje, o Jim Wickens. É um privilégio tê-lo connosco hoje. O Jim é realizador, é jornalista, director, journalist, reporter. Muito ligado a projetos ambientais. Ele tem imensos prémios e é reconhecido por, muitas vezes, até denúncias e problemas ambientais que ele denuncia através das suas reportagens e dos seus documentários. Ele vem partilhar connosco aquilo que é trabalhar em condições difíceis, muitas vezes sozinho, com uma câmera. Ele usa Canon, yeah? Ele é um operador de câmaras Canon também, portanto vamos aprender um bocadinho com ele, um bocadinho dos truques, a ver como é que se aprendemos um bocadinho e se melhoramos também o nosso desempenho. Jim, the stage is yours.
Obrigado.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Desculpa muito mal Portugal. Is it alright to speak in English? I hope so, otherwise this is going to be a very short talk. Thank you, Andrew, for inviting me to talk today. And thank you. Clearly you're not Benfica fans or Man U fans. And, I've been using Canon for over a decade, and I'm kind of wedded to Canon gear and Canon cameras for reasons that I will go into. From as long as I can remember, I've wanted to create change, to save the planet, to do things in a way that will save the forest, save the oceans, save vulnerable people. And I've been struggling in my life to find the most effective way to do those things. I started off as an activist. I started off using secret cameras in my shirt, secret cameras in trees, filming people committing crimes against animals and people. Then I started working as a campaigner, saying you must not do this. And then I found that the most effective way was to be filming things. And I would work with camera teams, and we would go around the world to the most unpleasant places you can imagine to try and film them, to bring them to life in a way that I would hope would inspire people to change, to think differently about the world. So I began to go around the world with teams, and I didn't study cameras, right? I have no technical training whatsoever. But I was with these camera crews, and I was like, come on, you're not doing a good job. And I was getting really frustrated. And about 6-7 years ago, I thought that's enough. Enough is enough. And I picked up a Canon camera and I taught myself to use one. And it was around the time when we began to get the shallow depth of field that Canon gave to us. And for me, it was a love affair. For the first time, I was able to capture things in a way that I could only dream. It was like I was a one-man cinema, And for me, that inspired me to take that level of beauty that Canon enabled us to capture and take that into the really dark places that I wanted to go and film and show to the world. And I haven't stopped since, to be honest. The reason why I'm a journalist, a filmmaker, a producer, a photographer, a reporter is because it's really difficult to make a living doing this. Resources are small, and you're out on a limb, as we say, out on the end of your arm, making these stories and bringing them to life. Perhaps the best way to show you what I'm talking about is to show you a film I made a couple of years ago called Bruce Lee, and it's about a drug dealer and a gang of children and teenagers who live in the sewers. What's the word for a sewer, Andrew? See, in Bucharest, in Romania. They live in there, they die in there, and nobody had been down to film them. And we had an opportunity to go into the sewers and bring their story to life. And I used a Canon video camera to do this, and it's so grainy and so dirty and so filthy that I'm sure it's another world from the sushi that we were looking at yesterday here, and that's my world. That's what I try and film. So without further ado, let me put it on and see what you think. I should apologize, there's no Romanian subtitles, but I'm sure you get the drift. So imagine if I'd had a 4K camera down there. as I'm sure you agree, it's a really disturbing film. And I've never seen this on a big screen before. And I made this film, and it makes me like this, because to film this, we had to get very high on drugs. The air in the sewer, it's full of fumes from the drugs. So we were like this for 2 days down there filming, and it was very, very difficult. There was syringes everywhere. Many people had tuberculosis, coughing in your face while you are filming. So to keep filming in this environment was like crazy, really difficult to do. After this film came out, it went around the world, in countries around the world, and people could not believe this is happening in Europe today. And they closed the sewer. It's closed now. They put cement, concrete to close it. And Bruce Lee is in jail, in prison. It's complicated. It's very complicated. And Romania is a complicated place. But I wanted to show this film because, for me, the beauty in this is the way the Canon camera pulls out the filth, the tiny, the sweat, the drugs, the eyes so well in the bad light. It's very grainy. It couldn't be more different to sushi and beautiful light and a clean environment. But this is what I'm trying to film with the Canon, and that gives you some idea of my work, but behind the camera. Before I talk about other stuff, do you have any questions at all about that?
What happened to the children?
Well, to answer that question, what happened to the children, we have to ask what happened to the children to get to here. Ceausescu fell. Many children in orphanages, abused, abandoned, and they had a home there. But the syringes, he sells the syringes, okay? So they swap, they keep. And one of the girls there speaking, she died 2 weeks after we filmed. 2 weeks after she died of AIDS, aged 18. So it's like there is very little hope and very little that can be done. It's very sad, very, very sad.
How did you discover it?
How did I discover it? The tunnels.
Yes.
I worked a lot in Romania. We were making films on different subjects, and we heard this story, and it sounded too crazy. And we went in and we met people, and I had an amazing translator, Radu, poor guy, who spent a long time building up relationships to enable us to go down into the tunnel. And it was terrible, really, really terrible.
But it's okay for them that you go there to film and...
Yeah, it was. And to be fair, I think the film is very fair to Bruce Lee and to all of them. It's not a sensationalized piece. I don't think. It's not saying, oh my gosh. I mean, after we went, every news channel tried to send teams. You know, CNN, big teams, big correspondents went, and they could not go down, or they would not let them go down. So if anything, now I think we should have been more critical of Bruce Lee. But the Canon was amazing. The camera down there was amazing.
Jim, it's very deep, the work that you showed here. My question is, how was your pre-work for this? How do you prepare yourself? Because you know about the story, but you have no idea what you will find there. So, which kind of preparation you do in these kind of things?
So look,
be ready?
That's a really good question. My job is so different to so many other filmmakers and so many other people that use this equipment, because it's like these are stories that nobody is telling often, and it's like we are going down that road for the first time. And so we knew that there would be a lot of syringes, needles, and that most of the people had HIV and AIDS. So we were like, what can we do to protect ourselves? I wanted to wear a gas mask, everything. But you cannot, because as a filmmaker, we must build a relationship. Before we could open the camera, we had to spend hours just sitting, talking, relaxing, trying to relax with the people. So I found the DeWalt work trousers that are very strong. They look like normal trousers, but they are needle proof. So we wore the needle proof trousers. So as we crawled through the tunnels, the needles did not spike us. And before we went down, we drank a lot of coffee and ate a lot of food. And with my friend Radu, because we have to be friends doing this work as a team, you know, we're very close. We kind of like, we sitting, we psyched each other up, preparing here. But honestly, the moment I went down the ladder there, I've never seen anything like it. And those pictures are the ones that we could show. There were fighting, there were people injecting in their genitals. It was like Dante, like an inferno, pure hell. It's terrible. And so much drugs that you get very high very quickly. And the drugs that they are using are they make you very paranoid, very nervous. So as a filmmaker, you're trying to count to 10, but you're like this everywhere. It's really crazy. And you see the reporter, his eyes by the end, he looks like Elvis Presley, like this. You know, it's complicated. But this was